Steve, how lovely to have you back on the show.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Do you know Gordon? Have you met Gordon in your show business travels in the past ever?
I never have, no.
Wow, wow. Have you ever eaten at one of his establishments?
I have, and it was delicious.
Oh, good. Well, that's a relief. And then...
A++++.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So you're back in town here. You have a new movie coming out a week on Friday, which, and this is exciting, you've been nominated, a Golden Globe, and we will find out that result tomorrow, I believe. Whether you won it. So congratulations.
Thank you. And I was also nominated for a Nobel Prize.
Wow. Long overdue, if I may say so.
I thought so.
Does it mean much? I guess being nominated is an exciting thing. Are you someone who pays attention to that, or were you not even aware?
I would like to pretend that I'm cool enough to not pay attention, but I pay attention.
Right, OK.
When I was nominated for an Oscar, I was up at 5 in the morning with a cup of coffee, sitting at the television set. And I didn't wake up my wife. I didn't want to disturb her. But unbeknownst to me, she was upstairs in the bedroom watching at the same time. And when my name was announced, we ran, like she ran to the steps and I ran up, and we were bouncing up and down like 5 o'clock in the morning, trying not to wake up our kids. Really, really exciting. And
that was for Foxcatcher. And what I suppose makes it even more special is you're someone who came to us, or came to prominence with kind of comedy acting and roles in less serious fare. So for you to go into a movie like that and prove you can really do it, what an achievement.
It was I was very lucky to be offered a part like that. It's not... I didn't think I would be on the short list for a part like, well, there's the picture. Yeah. It's... that is not something that I was thrown my hat in the ring for, because I didn't see myself playing a part like that, but the director did. Not
an easy man to engage with or to like on screen, because he wasn't in real life, of course.
No, he was an odd bird, to be sure. I obviously never got a chance to meet him, but, you know, I met a lot of people who knew him and had worked with him, and I studied tapes of him. He actually commissioned a documentary on himself.
Wow.
And so I was able to watch that. The most interesting part of that was watching the outtakes, because he was instructing the documentarian how to film him and get this shot, and that was very telling.
So a real control freak.
Very much so. And the actual documentarian who shot that played himself in the film, too. So when he was interviewing my character in the film, it was actually the guy asking the real questions. So it was a little bit odd.
Did you see the film, Foxcatcher? Yeah. Did you really see the film?
Yeah. Stop.
You saw the film. What was it about, Gordon?
I'm not going to discuss that right now. Come on.
Just say it was an A+++.
See, that's the nice thing to do, you see.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about the new film, because it's not as grim a story as that, but in different ways it's a shocking and terrifying scenario as well. This is The Big Short. Now, how do you sum up this movie succinctly for us?
It's about a group of individuals on Wall Street who saw there was a mortgage bubble and essentially bet against the economy. And their win would be everyone else's failure.
So they saw that people were, banks mainly, and other kind of financial institutions and hedge fund guys, they were betting heavily on something which was, at best, shaky, at worst, possibly illegal even,
exactly.
what they were doing. And they bet against that.
A high level of fraudulent behavior that they uncovered along the way, because they were the only ones who bet against this. They were shorting the market.
But this is incredible, because we know the story. This is when the many institutions collapsed, Lehman Brothers and other big banks. It was the whole subprime mortgage fiasco. And when that happened, I thought, how can this happen? And this film makes it very clear to you that this happened largely. It was a combination of greed, and it was a combination of kind of arrogance as well. And these guys felt somewhat untouchable in their own bubble while they were carrying on ruining people's lives.
Yeah, there's a real conflict there morally, because the character that I play is a guy who's trying to find out the truth, and the more he discovers, the more he realizes how insidious the whole thing is. But at the same time, he stands to make hundreds of millions of dollars off of the downfall of the American economy. So he's not altruistic, you know. Yeah. He definitely has some skin in the game. And
these are all true people. This is a real story with actual characters. You based this on a real man who you met, I believe.
I did. I met with him, met his family. He came to set a few times. He was there the second day I was shooting. So, yeah, it's odd to have the guy who you're playing just standing off camera, like looking at, there he is.
Yeah.
And very proud of his hair. His wife, actually, he told me his wife only married him because of that head of hair.
Now, you put on a lot of weight to play this role.
About 25 pounds.
25 pounds, that's
Yeah.
a lot of weight. Then this was deliberate, or it just happened and you said you were doing it for the part?
Yeah, no, the director asked me to do it.
Is that one of the best things anyone could ever say to you, is you need to put on 25 pounds?
It's pretty great.
OK. How did you do it?
I ate a lot of deep dish pizza. Are you familiar with deep dish, Chicago deep dish pizza?
I'm relatively not as familiar as you obviously became, but I am familiar.
It was a horrifyingly wonderful experience.
Wow.
I actually loved it.
Would you have a dessert afterwards as well, or was it just the pizza?
Another pizza.
Maybe some cheesecake.
Just
No, and I showed up on set the first day, and it's the first time I've ever gotten a compliment of someone saying, "Wow, you're so fat." Good for you. And I was happy, but at the same time, like, what? It's an odd compliment to receive.
Did your wife join in with the whole eating fest, or did she? Because I would have thought out of sympathy and also just sheer greed, she would have wanted some of that action.
She did not join the eating fest. No. She had one piece of deep dish pizza over about 3 months.
Yeah. And did she? How do I put this politely? In
I know where you're going.
I have to ask you. I feel I have to ask you.
All right.
In marital situations.
Meaning
adult time.
I'm not catching your drift.
When the jiggery met the pokery, did she find the extra timber delightful, or were you always underneath? That's what I'm asking. That's what By the way, welcome to London.
The jiggery met the poker?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
I was reaching there.
Is she the jiggery?
I don't need the exact details of what's going on. I just wondered.
Friday nights. Only on Friday nights does that happen.
OK.
No, it was fine.
Yeah.
She loves me for who I am.
OK, let's have a look at it. This is The Big Short, and it's a film which takes a difficult and challenging subject, makes it fun, makes it entertaining, and made it very easy for me to actually see for the first time what had gone on, and it's an incredible drama. This is The Big Short. It's incredible seeing the lives these people lead, and there's a sequence where your character and his gang, they go to Vegas to see a big conference and to see try and work out just whether or not the people really are doing what they're doing.
Right.
Or whether or not they kind of know something you don't even. And you see just the kind of, waste is the wrong word, but the kind of indulgence that comes with that kind of money, the kind of self-indulgence. You must have a lot of bankers in your restaurants, and I'm not using rhyming slang there, but you must meet a lot of these high-end guys. Do you find, are they sometimes out of control, or do you find them...
Yeah, I mean, I think just before 2008, you know, we had a group of bankers that blew 44,000 at Petrus.
Wow.
Yeah, and the weird thing about that was they had a big collection of wine, so there's 7 or 8 different bottles, and then cheese with like 6 bottles of beer. So why drink all that wine and then finish it with beer? Didn't make sense.
And what? So the wine, how much was that expensive wine a bottle if they got through that amount of cash?
Oh, 1970 Petrus, Latour. These things were in sort of £9,000 to £15,000 a bottle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think when you've got 3 or 4 different blends, it spoils the nice ones. So. Yeah. You don't want to taint that flavour.
To finish it off with beer seems a weird thing to do,
strange.
and then maybe some deep pan pizza on the way home.
There is nothing... maybe I just don't have enough of a refined palate, but nothing to me is worth that kind of money.
Are you a foodie, though? Are you someone who seeks out kind of high-end stuff, or are you fairly straightforward in your taste?
I'm fairly straightforward. Yeah, I won't lie.
Okay,
I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy.
So a big night out for you and the missus before the jiggery pokery. When you go out, what would be a night? Do you still have a romantic date evening?
We'd start with the jiggery pokery. Then we'll
It's
go out
jiggery, not diggery.
Oh.
That's the Australian way of doing it. I don't want to know what you're blowing there, but I'm pleased you can reach it. I'm glad for you.
We go... Where do we go? We went to an extremely fancy meal outside of San Francisco, and it was lost on us. Just, you know, the duck foam confit. I was like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure as duck foam goes, this is fantastic. But how late is Burger King? They'll come out on different plates. Yeah. Like they went and shopped at completely different stores for every plate, for every dish.
So none of it matched? It wasn't from the same set? It was just, again, it was part of the experience. It was part of the allure. Oh, there's a
there's a square plate, and now there's a tiny square plate with an enormous dish, and a huge plate with a prawn. And like, and it became, really, we were trying to guess the next course, like, what size plate is this going to be on?
So,
and
Gordon,
what shape?
you're listening to all this feedback? You're going to change what you do? You must have gone a bit... There must be things you've served and you thought, oh, you know what, we were swept up in the duck foam fever there, but now that bubble's burst. I mean, there must have been things you've put on plates over the years which you regret.
I think back when I first started, when I came back from France, when I opened my first restaurant, Aubergine, back in 1993, it was the foam sort of era, but
Everyone
not now.
loved the foam. Why did people go nuts for the foam back then?
I mean, it's a weird texture, and you know, Tana eats... What is this thing? It's a mouthful of air, so it looks weird. And then after 2 or 3 minutes, when it sits there, after your partner's staring at it, it looks gross. It's like sort of toxic scum on a stagnant pool.
That's on a good
That
night.
was actually what it was called.
I was asking Gordon about his first job earlier on. What kind of jobs did you have before you decided you want to act? What was your goal, and what kind of life did you lead, Steve?
I thought I was going to become an attorney. I thought I'd be a lawyer.
Well, so why did you change your mind?
You know what? Here's what it was. I was applying to law school, and I was filling out the application, and the essay question was, why do you want to be an attorney? And I couldn't answer it. That's really the long and short of it. I couldn't write an essay other than I thought it would please my parents. And,
wow.
And so I decided I was going to take a break and determine what I really wanted to do.
And disappoint your parents.
And disappoint my parents.
So when you first of all, I mean, we all knew Steve initially as a comic actor, as a performer with kind of comedy skills, and I assumed you come from that background. So were you attracted to comedy first, or was it you wanted to be a serious actor, but they were just the opportunities you got?
Those were the opportunities I got. I just wanted to be an actor and potentially make a living doing it. So early on, I just tended to get more roles that were comedic in nature.
Because you were with the improv group, weren't you? The Second City in Chicago?
Was.
And that's where you met your wife, isn't it?
It was, yeah.
So was she a performer too?
I was actually her teacher at SAG. There she is.
Wow. Is that legal for you to go home with one of your students?
Well, we weren't doing the jiggery penalty poke at that point. No, I saw her in class and I thought, wow, she's just a knockout. She's so smart and she's so... well, I mean, first sight, love at first sight, really.
Really? That's so sweet.
No, it really was. We celebrated 20 years.
Congratulations.
In August. Thanks.
And was it love at first sight for you as well, Gordon?
It was hard. I was living in Paris. I came back to a friend's wedding, and Tana was dating a friend of mine. Yeah, I know. And we celebrate 20 years this year. So, yeah,
wow. Congratulations.
It was love at first sight, yeah. But I couldn't go there because, you know, my mate. So she came to me.
So... So you had to wait for a while?
I had to wait 2 years.
Wow.
Yes.
So,
Are you still friends?
No, not good.
And so those 2 years, though, you were carrying a torch for her, so you must have felt pretty awful.
Tana at the time was only 17 as well, so I thought it was apt, you know,
yeah.
to wait to at least, you know, 19, 20.
That smile you're doing, there's something you're not telling me.
No, it's you. So, and I went back to Paris, finished my training, then I came back, opened my first restaurant, and I suppose having the first chance to cook for her properly really sort of set it up. But she came with a boyfriend.
I can't imagine how great that is to have that ability to woo a woman, to cook for her. Yeah. Oh my, it would have happened a lot sooner for me had I been able to.
Were you a late starter with the opposite sex?
I was so lame. When I first started talking to Nancy, I'd go across the street, and she worked at the bar across the street from Second City, and I used to go over and order a Diet Coke and hang out at the bar and talk to her. And for months, we talked at each other like, hey, if I ever asked someone out, it would be someone like you. And she'd say, boy, if someone like you ever asked me out, I'd go out on a date with that someone who... But it was like weeks turned into months of like, hey, how you doing? And we didn't do anything until finally one of us kind of blinked and we ended up going out.
Wow. Who blinked first? Who asked?
She blinked first. She
Wow.
was like, okay, let's go. And I don't think I said, let's go out, but I said, okay. It was like Nerd Patrol. It was...
OK, before we bring Elliot, I've got to say one thing which I suppose we should thank you for, and also maybe people sometimes aren't so grateful, is because partly you're responsible for introducing Minions to the world in a major way, which people love and some people hate because they're everywhere.
You can't hate them. Great. You can't hate the Minions.
Your kids, they love the Minions?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't one of your children a Minion?
One of my kids used to do the Minion voice, and so I asked at the end of one of my recording sessions if he could come in and do some Minion voices.
Wow.
So he was, I think, 6 at the time.
Wow.
So they brought the mic down, and we were patched in because the directors were in Paris. So they kept the line open, and the directors were talking to him on one of these video monitors and talking him through, okay, now sound confused. And it was the most adorable thing. I don't know if they used any of it for the movie, but it was really special.
Of the various characters you've played, do people ask you most, if they ask you to do something, do they ask you for something from Despicable Me, do they ask you for something from 40-Year-Old Virgin, Anchorman, or Foxcatcher? Which is the one they ask you to do the most readily?
Somebody coming up and saying, hey, do some of those funny lines from Foxcatcher. Wow, that is dark. Well, little kids like when I do Gru.
Yeah.
And that's fun. Like I'll do, like for kids in need or something or in hospitals, I can leave messages like, hello, how are you doing? I hope you're feeling better. And it's really, that's kind of fun to pull out.
It's lovely. When I'm ill, will you phone me up and do the Foxcatcher voice down the phone?
Yes, I will.